Hey, Benaiah. Are you going to help me read chapter 3?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Uh,
The wind blew hard from the east all that day. Clouds hurried across the sky. Treetops fought the wind. Mr. Little was standing on the Big's roof with Lucy and Tom. It was the first time Lucy's mother let her go up on the roof. "Try to stay close to the shelter of the chimney," said Mr. Little. "It's very windy up here. We don't want anyone losing his balance." Tom looked over the edge of the roof. "And doing a nosedive into Mrs. Big's gooseberry bush," he added. "Where's Cousin Dinky?" said Lucy. She looked at the sky. "You'd think he'd be here by now if he were coming," said Tom. "The wind has been blowing for hours." "He may have been all the way to the end of the big valley," said Mr. Little. "There are quite a few families between here and the eastern end of the valley, and he has to pick up and drop off the mail at each house as he goes by." "If he stops at every house," said Lucy, "how will he ever have time to get here today?" "You know, he doesn't stop at every house," said Tom. "He picks up the mail without landing." "Right," said Mr. Little. He pointed to the end of the Big's TV antenna. "We loop the strap of our mail sack over the end of the antenna. Cousin Dinky glides in and yanks the sack off the antenna with the hook. It works beautifully." "But how do we get our mail?" said Lucy. "He drops it in the chimney," said Mr. Little. "In the chimney?" said Lucy. Mr. Little laughed. "It doesn't go down the chimney, Lucy," he said. "We've strung a net across the chimney. The net is just a few inches down from the top. It lets the smoke go up, and it keeps the letters from going down." "But doesn't Cousin Dinky usually land at our house?" said Lucy. "Well," said Mr. Little, "we're his closest relatives. He likes to stop off here." "There's Cousin Dinky now!" shouted Tom. Mr. Little and Lucy looked up. They saw a light blue glider coming toward them out of the eastern sky. The glider was flying low, almost as low as the trees at the edge of the Big's yard. "He's too low," said Mr. Little. "Get higher, Dinky, get up higher," he shouted. Suddenly, the glider dived toward the trees. The Littles lost sight of it for a moment. "There he is," shouted Lucy. "Wow," said Tom. "He went under the trees." The glider rose in a long curve to the roof. As it drew near, 2 parachutes snapped open. The parachutes acted like a brake and made the glider slow down. At the same time, the pilot threw out a fishhook anchor tied to a piece of twine. The anchor caught on a shingle, and the glider bounced to a landing. Cousin Dinky leaped from the cockpit and helped the Littles tie the glider to the roof. When that was done, the 4 of them laughed and hugged one another. "One of my rougher landings," said Cousin Dinky. "It's the wind. A little Yeah, that's his name. "A little faster than I like to fly in." Mr. Little shook his head. "Dinky," he said, "you're going to get killed someday landing like that.
what?
Isn't there a better way?" "If you mean, isn't there a safer way, Uncle Will," said Cousin Dinky. "Sure, there's a safer way. I could land on that airstrip." He pointed to the Big's driveway. "But when I want to take off again, I'd have to get the glider up on the roof anyway. Might as well land here in the first place, eh?" "Did you bring us any letters, Cousin Dinky?" said Lucy. "I did, Lucy, I did," said Cousin Dinky. "If you people will help me get these sacks downstairs," he reached into the cockpit of the glider and pulled out an armful of mail sacks. I'll sort out your letters from the rest in a jiffy." "Did I get a letter from Tina Small?" said Lucy. You did," said Cousin Dinky. "I visited with the Smalls on my way down east." He reached into his large coat pocket. "I have it right here." "Oh, good," said Lucy. She hugged Cousin Dinky. "You're wonderful, Cousin Dinky. I love it when you come." "Now let's get out of this wind," said Mr. Little. "Dinky, you must be hungry." "That's a true fact, Uncle Will," said Cousin Dinky. "Hungry's the word. And what I'm hungry for is Mrs. Big's cooking. No one in this part of the Big Valley can hold a candle to Mrs. Big when it comes to cooking." "Come on," said Mr. Little. He looked at the sun to the west. "By this time, the Bigs are about ready to eat dessert. If we hurry, we'll be just in time to take some leftovers." "Hold everything," said Cousin Dinky. "I almost forgot my guitar." I've learned a new song and I want to sing it to you. Tom, will you get the guitar for me? It's in the back of the glider behind the seat. Okay, Cousin Dinky, said Tom, but he didn't seem to be in a hurry to get the guitar. There was one thing Tom could never understand. How could a great man like Cousin Dinky have such a bad singing voice and not know it? Oh, that's the end.
Oh,
Thanks for reading with me, Benaiah.
what?